I'm Brett. Flying in Alaska has always been my dream, and now it's my reality. Hey! With my aircraft, I get to explore some of the most remote and wild places out here. Hey! Alaska's my playground, and I'm bringing you along for the ride. So hop in and let me show you around. This is Adventure Alaska. The Eastern Sierra Mountains have always been special to me. I've been coming out here since I was a kid. Back then, my dad and I would escape the craziness of Southern California life. Competitive swimming, baseball, school, and work, and we'd head up into the Sierras. Fly fishing for native brown trout was our thing, and those trips were about more than catching fish. They were about spending time together, surrounded by nothing but mountains, rivers, peace and quiet. If you've watched any of my past fishing videos, you're probably wondering how I ever caught anything as a kid. Well, I'm starting to feel a little discouraged. Hard to make a video about fly fishing when you don't catch anything. The truth is that I do know how to fish. It's the catching part that has always been a problem. All right, so we're out doing a little fishing today. We're up here in the Eastern Sierras, so we're just kind of outside of Bridgeport. I'm used to fishing like Alaska style, so salmon and stuff like that, but Trent had apparently seen me fail with trout so many times that I think he wants to see if I can catch any trout. Do you think we're going for trout today, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna catch any, but I'll show you how to catch one. Like, you can watch me. Did you tell him I landed right here?
No, so yeah.
About that?
Where?
Right about there, 11,144 feet.
And you made a video on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna link the video because I want people to see that you're absolutely nuts.
No, it's long, it's smooth. You could land your 180 or 170 up there.
I can't get to 11,000.
If you could get up there, you could land there. I just don't know. You'd have to find like a glider path off,
like a ramp.
Pull a Steve Henry and take off without any power.
All right, so we're gonna go do this off-roading adventure. I think, Trent, you've now sold me on a Rotax and a Raptor. This has been an expensive trip so far. What else are you gonna try to sell me on? A Legend Cub. A Legend Cub.
I am trying that, actually.
Yeah, you have to, he's working really hard.
You're gonna do a Raptor.
Aurora, I'm really sorry because I might be buying a Legend Cub. All right, let's go fishing.
This road is too narrow for a Ford Raptor with 0 offset wheels.
You're scratching my truck. I'm gonna come walk that with you.
Then we're gonna find out what the Raptor can do. This is it's pretty narrow in here. Let me show you. Oh, the stuff we do to go fishing, right? Apparently somewhere up here is a river. Maybe I should have made this bet with Trent after all. Because right now, we may not get to the river, which would make me instantly win.
Now we got it. Through the tight spot. That wasn't all that tight. It's just a little bit of Nevada pinstripe is all.
So Trent has his Starlink set up on top of his truck, and the map shows, like we were pulling it up on maps, and it looks like what is a plane wreck is what we would say. So we're gonna go kind of poke our heads around and see if it is indeed what we think it is. So we're gonna go take a little hike here. I am, of course, wearing the appropriate footwear for this. You know, they have things that can, you know, sting here and bite. Very different than Alaska.
This is rattlesnake country.
Rattlesnake country. Great. That's just what I want to hear. Did it just look like it was this way or just straight down? Yeah.
I love that you guys are in sandals.
Yeah.
I wore shoes today. This is like the third time I've worn shoes all summer.
You know, we debated shoes, and then Trent told me there's 2 seasons. There's boot season and flip-flop season. So I just feel like I'm fitting in at this point. I grew up in SoCal, so, you know, sandals were my life. And, you know, of course, I'm breaking in a new set of rainbows on this trip, so this does not feel good.
The Owens Valley is known for its crazy mountain waves. I've personally experienced the power that the wave can have and the effect that it can have on an airplane as it's flying. On one of my flights back when I was younger, I was flying out of Mammoth Lakes and I nearly bent the wing spar of the Cessna 182 that I was flying when the Owens wave showed up in full force. In what can only be described as the worst roller coaster of my life, my little 182 was chucked around like it was a toy. This terror ride lasted for about a full minute before I was able to regain control of the aircraft, a mere 500 feet above the ground. My total loss of altitude was over 5,000 feet in less than a minute.
Yeah, so this is not good. This is not a survivable crash. And so I'm probably gonna look at it first and then I'll video it after, just in case, you know, for family's sake. So let me just kind of see what I got here.
Being that we were right in the middle of the Owens Valley, the idea that we were walking into what was likely a fatal plane crash brought those memories of that flight right back to the front of my memory. It's never easy walking up to a plane wreck, especially one with a debris field as wide as this one. It was clear rather quickly that this was not a survivable plane crash. Since we had no idea at the time how long this crash had been there, I turned the camera off out of respect for the family and checked the cockpit before continuing to figure out how this had happened. Empty. Either the passengers had been removed or they never made it to the crash site at all. This meant that we were likely not the first people to find this wreck.
All right, so it does appear to be empty. I got a seat up here, Trent. I got a seat frame up here. So the seats departed the fuselage. Yeah, see the seat frame over here? Yeah, so we got 1, 2, and then a quasi full seat frame. Yeah, this is not a survivable plane crash.
As we walked around, the three of us tried to piece together what had happened. There was obvious shearing on the wing spar, indicative of either a very hard landing or an in-flight breakup. At first, we believed that this could have been caused by the very same thing that we were out to prove just the day before: density altitude. Was this pilot trying to climb out of a place that he shouldn't have been, only to find that his plane lacked the performance that it had at the lower elevations? Or was he, like so many others, a victim of the Owens mountain wave?
Look at this. So here's your wing spar right here.
So what I don't get, we have one wing. I don't see any pieces of a tail. I got one wing and then the fuselage, so.
Hey Trent, I think this was a single engine, and I'll show you why. Come here.
You might be right. That looks like a very Hershey bar wing.
Well, look at the mixture and the throttles right here.
Wait, that came out of the cockpit?
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. There's not another wing. This is everything that was in the picture.
Yeah. So we have rudder pedals right here, and so that's going to be the co-pilot side because we have no brakes, and then we've got a prop control. We've got a throttle control right here. We've got cabin heat. We've got mixture. And so I would put money. I don't know.
Either.
But there's the throttle right there. So this is a single engine. This might just be a Cherokee, dude.
Once we get back and turn the Starlink back on, we can do that. But yeah, so, well, the only reason I can think that there's no body parts is that part of the, like, the firewall forward's here.
Yeah.
The fuselage is over there, but seats are up there. Like,
I think they got ejected.
I think they're scattered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So my only guess, aside from not having the other wing, so if there was another wing here, my guess would be controlled flight into terrain from back in the day that someone got in the soup and thought they were clearing the mountain and were off course and just hit the ground. But without the other wing or the tail section, I'm like, did they break up in flight?
Yeah.
Which is like the worst nightmare of nightmares.
So it's 4115 Romeo.
Yeah,
tail number.
4115. Take a photo of that and then we'll check it when we get back.
Because of the way it's pancaked in like this.
Well, yeah, originally I was thinking it was controlled flight into terrain, like, you know, he was in the soup,
Yeah.
whether he was IFR or not. But there's missing pieces. So then the other thing is, was it an in-flight breakup, like gnarly weather?
Yeah.
But then the last one that I kind of thought of was everything around us is lower terrain, so it could have been maybe trying to make it density altitude got him.
Yeah. And I don't see the tail.
That's what I mean. And
so we don't have a
only
tail.
one wing and there's no tail.
Let's go for a hike. Oh yeah. Here's the door.
I got a shoe.
You have a shoe? Oh, that's, whew. All right. What size?
What do you got?
He has a shoe. Oh man, that's not good. Yeah, it's really morbid.
He was probably wearing it.
Yep, probably came off in one way or another. I've got a panel. I've got panel plastics. Yeah, so here's the panel.
I don't know why the shoe thing kind of made it more real.
The shoe thing made it really real, dude.
With the engine being missing, there's a chance that, like, the NTSB came and took the engine. But there's still, like, we're missing a wing and all the tail feathers. And the engine. So again, it could be that they started to take the wreck out of here and then gave up or something. I guess we probably will never know the whole story on that one. We're also just, you know, being pilots, trying to figure out what's the story here. You know, if there's debris uphill from it, which we're up kind of where I parked, that would almost make it seem like he was coming from this way, clipped, and then it piled into there. So maybe we should just kind of sweep this a little bit more, but.
And I wonder if it's on the other side of the mountain. Like, what if he hit where we parked the car?
Well,
what if he hit on the other side?
That's kind of what I'm looking
went
at is, so you've got the mountain grows up this way, right?
Yeah.
And it all draws down other than where we're at. So trying to avoid terrain at some point.
Yeah. If he was going this way, might have been the last thing that he was able to almost clear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the NTSB. I'm gonna see what I can find on the call sign. And I'm gonna see if we can figure out what happened.
As we headed back to the truck, Trent fired up Starlink and I started searching the NTSB database. Sure enough, there was a synopsis and a probable cause. It made all of us go silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it on NTSB. So it's a Piper Cherokee 6. There were 3 fatalities, 3 occupants. It happened on, you know what? Right wing separated in flight. Recovery date 6/7/69.
69.
So they lost a wing, and that airplane though, year of manufacture, 68.
Holy
so
cow.
It was only a year old when
Wow.
it crashed, and it was I have the full report. Thank you for the Starlink. This is helping me a lot.
No, that's nice.
So let me okay, so we have, oh man, dude, this got bad. Okay, so we have probable causes: continued VFR flight into adverse weather conditions. So there you go. Spatial disorientation exceeded design stress limits of aircraft. So he probably got disoriented. He probably figured out quickly that the terrain was coming up and
spiral. Yep.
or he spiraled. the wing spars. That's why we can't find the other wing. They probably took that with them.
Or it's at a different crash site.
Or it's at a different crash site. So I'm gonna look. They don't have a full narrative. So what we have is right wing separated in flight, and they recovered it 67 to 69. Precipitation at accident site was snow. Yeah, that was so. Oh, holy! It gets worse. Low ceiling snow, icing conditions, including sleet, freezing rain, and they got turbulence associated with clouds and/or thunderstorms. They were flying in a thunderstorm. It sounds like.
In like the
and
worst.
They up drafts and down drafts. So I bet if we go back down and we look at it, I bet we're gonna see bending on some of those components, and that would make tons of sense.
Damn.
That's really sad.
And that explains why the seat was separated from it, because it broke up in flight.
Yeah. So I think the way that you look at that is, Owens Valley is known for that Owens wave.
Yeah.
And we're in the Nevada Triangle.
Yeah.
So to anyone that's not aware of the Nevada Triangle, it's, like the Bermuda Triangle, except for the Bermuda Triangle, they've lost like 300 planes. The Nevada Triangle, it's like 3,000. Some of those are military application with like Area 51 and stuff, because it encompasses that. But also on the eastern side of the Sierras, we have some of the most hostile terrain and the gnarliest mountain wave.
Yeah.
And this kind of unpredictable weather. And I'm sure in the late 60s, there wasn't the same kind of weather reporting.
Yeah, what'd you say that was 6-7? So
Yeah, 6-7.
That's
like
that time of year it can be very violent.
And that was a new Cherokee Six too. That was only like a year old.
Yeah, that wasn't a manufacturing defect.
No, not at all.
I mean, things that happen on this side of the Sierras, I mean, it rips planes apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a thunderstorm. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be. It probably was that time of year. I mean, we don't have a lot of big storm fronts pushing through then. So, yeah.
That was June?
Yeah. It can be very violent.
Yeah.
Just thermals alone on this side of the Sierras can be very violent that time of year.
Dang.
While the following is only recounting the NTSB's findings, a very clear picture was painted of the mistakes that were made by the pilot. It was 9:45 a.m. on the morning of December 12th, 1968. The 33-year-old pilot was climbing into his 1968 Piper Cherokee Six with 2 passengers on board. He had already departed San Diego and had made a stop in Ontario, California, before heading through the Owens Valley to Reno, Nevada. He was a newer pilot with only 64 hours of total flight time. He was a private pilot and did not have an instrument rating. The aircraft was new, and he only had 2 hours in type. He had reached out to flight service to get a weather briefing, and presumably what he was told by the briefer convinced him that he was safe to fly, even though the briefer did warn him of the changing conditions in the Owens Valley. December in the Owens Valley can actually be worse than the summers. The conditions on the flight followed the trend that the briefer had advised him. Somewhere along the flight, he ran into that weather: snow, sleet, and freezing rain. The flight was no longer being conducted in VFR conditions, and it was about to get a whole lot worse. The Owens wave showed up in full force. The turbulence grew as thunderstorms formed. The plane was now being thrown around violently until the structure could no longer handle the stresses that were being imposed on it, and the right wing separated. What followed was likely a terrifying ride to the ground, where the impact scattered the plane across a quarter-mile debris field. There were no survivors. The plane was found on June 7th, 1969, almost 6 months from the date of the accident. The primary cause was continued VFR flight into adverse weather conditions, spatial disorientation, and exceeded design stress limits of the aircraft.
But here's your actual wing spar. So they said the right spar is the one that detached, right?
Oh yeah, because that's the carry through.
Yeah, so look at this tear.
That would have been the left one.
That's the left. Yeah, let's look at that side.
Yeah, that's the attach right there.
Dude, look at that. That thing just freaking shredded. I'm sure some of that was caused on impact.
Yeah.
But like, that's just, look where it tore too. Like, that's no freaking joke, man. That must have been a terrifying ride down.
Yeah.
And then, terrifying. All right, well, that's enough of that. We know the story now. We know what happened. I think it's time to fish. I think it's really time to fish.
Seeing this crash made me reflect on my journey so far. I was faced with the same decisions as that pilot several times on my journey from Alaska. Sometimes I question if I play it too safe with my flying. As a pilot with 5 digits in my total time, I'm often criticized for my overly cautious approach to flying.
All right, so we made it to Whitehorse. I think we were both hoping we would have made it further today, but I don't know if you can see behind us, the weather definitely came in on us. And so, as such, we are going to, we're gonna call it a day.
As I gained experience in both airplanes and helicopters over the years, I've learned to recognize these situations and acknowledge them. We spent the rest of the day fishing the East Walker River, and while it wasn't my best day of fishing, time spent with friends was absolutely worth it.
That's out. Oh God, calm down.
Feisty one, dude.
Today was my last day in Reno with Trent and Haley. We'll meet back up when they come north to Alaska in their new Legend Cub.
Nice fish.
We got lots of adventures planned on the way to Alaska, and then when they're up there actually flying around in my backyard, I have tons planned for them. I can't wait to show you what all we have planned, but first, we've got some adventuring to do down in Southern California. I'll see you on the next one.